So we certainly don't have time to have an extensive look at color theory, and that could be a whole class on itself. But we do have time to just look at a surface level at some of the choices we make and some of the tools you can use to pick fitting color palettes for your brand, particularly where it's a word mark. So first of all, a little bit of color theory. There's an excellent page and I'll put the link up here. This is by 99 Designs and it's tips on color meaning. And this just gives you a really good overview of different colors and the kind of popular meanings behind them, at least as they're used in Western culture. So you've got a little bit of the meaning behind red, orange, and some real world examples of brands that have used these and the way they've used them. So it's not an exact science. There's often brands that kind of use these colors in different ways for different reasons. But this is a really useful guide if you're just dipping your toes in and you want to head in the right direction with which colors to use. Now over to the project that I've been developing, and your class project will be different to this, but you can see we have our Wordmark logo, which I'm very happy with. And I'm showing a reversed version of that and a regular version. Then I'm showing the submark we've created, regular and reversed. And then I pull in just a little something, maybe some body text, some text for the headings. And I put something like this together, just 2 pages, one that's reversed and one that's not. And I find that helps me to be a little bit more confident with the color choices than if I just made the color changes to the logo itself. I feel like these pages, you're making those choices in a little more of a real world situation, and it helps you to kind of compare the way these are balancing and working. So if I zoom out, I tend to duplicate that row of examples, and then I'll start tweaking the colors to create different color routes. So actually a great quick tool you can use to do that. If you select, and I'm going to be careful to avoid this title I've got at the top. You select all of the artwork on a row and click on this recolor artwork button, advanced options, and you can pick any of the colors that are currently showing and you can change them on the fly to another color of your choice. Just as easy as that. I've got 2 slightly different shades of gold here, so that one shows better on white and one shows better on black. But it's really easy to try out different color routes and color harmonies using that tool. So a few quick tips you can use when it comes to color, and I'll just talk about a few of the most common options. So monochromatic means the hue is exactly the same. So this has no color at all, so this is technically monochromatic. But if I changed, let's say, the background blue to this, and then I pick the same color for the logo, and I'll double click the color palette there, and using this HSB area in particular, you want to leave the hue as it is. That ensures it's monochromatic. And then I'm going to increase the brightness. You could lower the saturation if you wish, that's okay. It's just the hue that has to stay the same. And there, that is a monochromatic palette. Again, I could select the background, and this time I could bring the brightness down so that there's more contrast. And there, both of those options are monochromatic. And you could change the hue for both of these and explore other monochromatic options. So that's probably one of the easiest color routes to choose, because you're guaranteed that it looks fitting, there won't be any clashes. So it's quite an easy and potentially effective route to use. Something else you can use are complementary colors, and Illustrator has a tool to help you with this. So if I select my logo, and I click up here, this color guide, and I just need to click the base color here, to set it to the color I've got in my logo. And you can see now, if I click the drop down, it actually has pre-programmed for us these different harmony rules. And if I click on complementary, that gives you different shades and tints of a color to complement that blue. So if I click on my background and then I select one of these, you can see it gives me a complementary color. Complementary to, if I open the color wheel, the best way to explain it is that complementary to, it gives you options that come almost within a certain cone. A color harmony is always a color that's opposite, directly opposite on the color wheel. So you can see our blue would sit just here, and directly opposite, that's our complementary color. So the wider harmonies, there's kind of an acceptable cone around here, either side of that, that technically complement that color. So let's come out of that. Let's revert back to something that's a bit easier to work with. In fact, if I pick from my swatches a purple, and then I'll put that in here to the base color, and I look at complementary to, select the background, and straight away perhaps that reminds you of a famous basketball team. And this is my problem with complementary colors. I think because this became very popular and very well known in recent decades, almost every complementary color harmony has been used by a major brand, to the point, to me, these harmonies sometimes look a little dated, and I kind of favor the monochromatic harmonies, or harmonies that are a little more subtle. So perhaps one strong color that can pop, and then something much more subtle, or almost a tint to go alongside it, and not necessarily a complementary tint. So perhaps even a grey. For me, something like that is much cleaner than the traditional complementary color harmony. But you can play with those options. It's good to understand the theory behind this. And there's a few other color routes I came up with here, which are a bit more nuanced. This one's quite nice, this red and gold. One that uses almost a dusty rose gold with a green. And you won't find that on the slider, on the color harmony rules. So of course you could look online, you could look at Pinterest to get ideas. You can look at other brands, perhaps look at brands in different industries and the color harmonies they've used, and then try something similar and manipulate it yourself. But have fun exploring the different color options. And in the next lesson, we look at making a final presentation of your new Wordmark logo.